So now I'm going to actually get to tell you a little bit about the Live in 5 program that you guys have heard about so much over the past couple of days. Now, first thing, Arkestro Professional Services team. This is a team that I'm extremely proud of. I was very fortunate early in my career that I learned the expression, hire the best people, especially if they're better than you. And if you've met me and you've met anyone on our customer organization team, you realize quickly that they are better than me. And so that's a very good thing. And that has allowed them, thank you very much, that has allowed them to be very, very valuable and successful with our customers. And to be honest, it really makes me proud. I'm very excited to be working with this organization. Now, when we built out this team, we built out a team that was different. And what I mean by that is we didn't just focus on people that had system implementation experience. We didn't look for people that just had ERP experience, that had worked with the big implementation houses and whatnot. We built a team that was balanced. We looked for people that had procurement experience, that had integration experience, that had project management experience. And we built a balanced team because we wanted to look at this differently. We wanted to create a methodology process that was different. You heard Rob say yesterday that I've known him for a long time. I was one of the first implementation consultants when I was, let's just go with about 4 years old, back in 1997 at Ariba. And when I walked into Ariba back then, Rob said to me, we want to implement Ariba in 7 days. And back then, this was the day, SAP, Oracle, PeopleSoft, it was taking years to do those type of things. So I just kind of laughed at Rob and I said, we'll never get to 7 days. That won't be possible. And it wasn't. But now we were able to get to Live in 5. Now, here's the thing about Live in 5. Let me reduce some apprehension if there's people out in the audience going, 5 days. It's not 5 continuous days. It's just 5 days, okay? Because what happens here is we start working with an organization, a customer, right away. And we say, all right, let's get in there. Let's start learning about their business, and let's have them start learning about Arkestro. And what we do, what we bring to the table, and you heard Catherine talk about this a little bit, is a framework and a structure that allows them to get prepared, get ready, so that they can start building momentum right away. They start getting the quick wins. When they get the quick wins, when they get the momentum, that helps fuel the project. When you fuel the project, you get more people on board. You heard Joshua from Chevron yesterday say that. They were looking for those wins so they could build that momentum. So we come in with the Live in 5 framework. And by the way, let me go back one. Let's see if I can do that. See those little 2 green spots? That's the kickoff. That's in person. That's what Catherine's talking about. We'll get to that in a second. We come in with this framework, this execution framework. This is an eye chart. I don't expect you guys to read all this right now. We'll get it out to you. But here's the thing that's important to know. The way we set this up is we come prepared with a set of things that we say, hey, look, this is what we want you to come to our pre-kickoff meeting with. You come with this, we're going to have a meeting about this, and this is what we're going to get out of the meeting. It's very clear. Everybody knows exactly what they're doing. Once we take those outputs, we feed that into the pre-kickoff meeting. We have the inputs there, we have the meeting, we have the expected outputs. All of this is to drive to that kickoff, day 1 and day 2. They're in a green color, they're in person. We really advocate, and this is challenging in this day and age, but we really advocate to do this in person. You heard Catherine say it. The first thing we do, a little icebreaker, get the teams going together. Zoom is fantastic. It's beautiful. It lets us connect to places we've never been able to connect before. But to steal a Stewart line, and I hate stealing Stewart's lines, but how do you see eye to eye if we're not face to face? And so we really make that effort to go out to our customers and connect with them one-on-one. So we move to that kickoff. We do a 2-day kickoff. What's the goal? The goal is first to get to know each other, build out that connectivity. The second goal is to train up the organization. Who are we going to train? Could be anywhere, in Jim's case, to 2 or 3 buyers in the organization, or it can be anywhere. We've done, I think, in one kickoff, 40 buyers and category managers. It just depends. It's on the scale. But we get to that kickoff. We create continuity. We train up the team. We establish the KPIs. How are we going to measure what success is for this project? And here's the thing. It's not what we think is success. It's what you think is success. What does the customer think is success? Some customers, great vision, great understanding. This is what we think is success. This is how we're going to measure it. Perfect. We'll work with you. We'll go ahead and measure that with you. We'll set up a timeline with you, and we'll integrate all of that. Some customers, hey, we're not sure what success looks like. No problem. We can help you there. We have a library of KPIs. We can walk you through that process to help define that. But the goal is to come out of those 2 days with alignment on what KPIs we're looking at, how we're measuring them, and what success is. Because that gets everybody on the same page, from the executive team all the way down. You heard me talking with the people up here today about that communication process, because communicating from the end user all the way up to the executive team is a critical component. The last thing we do in the Live in 5 is get those events out the door. It could be as simple as 2 to 3 events, or as much as Catherine said, 14, 15 events for multiple millions of dollars to create that momentum. Now, during this whole process, right, we're working with the buyers, we're working on getting everything going, but we also have to make sure we work with the suppliers. And that's where we engage with our supplier consulting team. Our suppliers consulting team goes out, connects with those suppliers that are going to be part of the events for this kickoff, and makes sure that they are able to get enabled, they understand what's going on, and they're able to take part in these processes. So, if we look at what makes a project successful, right? It is not just a platform. It can never be just technology, right? I always say, day one, there's 3 things. I started my career at Ernst & Young. I walked in the door at Ernst & Young. One of our person on my team, Alex, says, like 1 million years ago, right? And I say, probably like 1,000,001, but yes. I walked in the door at Ernst & Young, and they said, there's 3 things to a project: people, process, and technology, right? Technology and processes, they're sciences. They're zeros and ones. We can repeat them wherever we go, right? People are the hard part. They're the art. They're the art. So we need to make sure we take them into account. So when we look at what makes a project successful, it's not just the platform, but it's actually how we engage the people. And so to make a project successful, we need a clear vision. We need a clear vision from the executive team on what they want to do. And we need that committed executive team. You saw Mark from Nissan up here yesterday. Mark was talking about all the different things that we did in the project. The reason he could talk about that is because he was involved in it. We were updating Mark every other Friday. We had meetings with him to give him updates on exactly what we were achieving in the project. That was critical. And then we work with them to create a strong change management plan. How are we going to work with the end users to make sure that they understand that this is something that's going to make their life easier, it's going to make their life better, and it's going to allow them to be more strategic in the items that they do. So it's more than a platform, it's a process, right? And that's part of the Live in 5 methodology that makes it different, that allows us to get fast time to value and quick wins. Now, saying that, though, as it turns out, there is some technology involved, right? It is the platform that helps get us to speed, get us to fast, reducing those cycle times. So we want to spend more time showing you that. We want to show you the product. So to help me with that, I'm going to invite back to the stage our Vice President of Product, Bob Van Leeuwen. Bob, come on out.
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Bob. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey, Bob, just a quick question for you.
Yeah.
You know all those dad jokes I tell?
I do. I now know why. That's good to know.
Yeah, now you know why, right? Do you know where I store them?
Your database?
In my database, that is correct.
I knew that one.
Yes, all right. Okay, so Catherine told us about the success that WR Grace had, right? They had fun that they had with Live in 5, learning about their teams, learning about the product. What do you think were the key pieces of product functionality that helped them get to be so successful?
Yeah, so the success and the impact we drive, obviously, like our platform is filled with a lot of features for that. But if we think about fast time to value, I think today I'd like to focus on showing like 5 key elements that really contribute to that.
5? 5 key elements, like Live in 5?
Yeah, 5 exactly.
That can't be a coincidence, right? All right, well, tell me this. Show me the first one.
Yeah, so yesterday we heard a lot of people talking about manual data entry. And so why don't we start with avoiding that data entry and give another example of where Arkestro's generative AI-powered document ingestion helps, and also reference some of the templates that Catherine started earlier. So if we go to my screen, and I'm going to make this a little bigger for you all, I got a stock requisition form in the morning. It's a PDF file, and we're going to buy some pipe today. If you look at the pipe in this file, like there's some 2-inch and some 4-inch and some 6-inch pipe. There's a couple of different units in here. I'm going to go into Arkestro, and I'm going to use this template that we already set up that my team uses for pipes. What this does is it gives us standards on the line item questions we ask to our suppliers and some compliance around the document requirements that people have to upload to make sure that they include when they do these bids. And so I'm going to say, copy this event from file. I'm going to add this PDF from my desktop, and it's going to create the event for me. Now, as I open the event, I can see that it created the shell, it created the line items within there that were just in, let me scroll down a little bit, that get copied over using our generative AI document ingestion. And so that's the generative AI part. What you can also see is that the line item questions and the document requirements from my template got copied over. And so that's the compliance part.
Okay, so let's highlight the value here. With this feature, we can ingest a demand signal from almost anywhere, right? Anywhere that you get a document, you have a PDF with 5 line items, we can ingest it. You get an Excel document with 20 line items, we can ingest it. That allows us to quickly bring in documents and line item questions and all kinds of information about things into the product without having to do integration, right? No more is a buyer having to do typing, doing cut and paste, doing things that might cause errors as they're putting that information in. They quickly ingest this information, saving them valuable large amounts of time. That's great.
Exactly.
What's the second one, Bob?
So the second one, and actually the next 2, are mostly going to be around suppliers. So let's start with supplier recommendations. So as I scroll up and I look at suppliers here, I can see that Arkestro has some recommendations for me. So I'm going to open those up. And as we said yesterday as well, supplier recommendations really look at the line items in my event and then look at who else has supplied pipe to me in the past. And so as you can see here, I can see these DCL resources and Dupree Industries that I want to make sure that I'm going to include on this event because we've done a lot of business with them, most frequent and most recent. But I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm also going to look at green engineering here. This one sounds interesting to me for a different reason. I want to add some competition to this event. And Arkestro recognized that green engineering often has the lowest price in events that they participate in. And so even if I don't end up awarding to them, I want to see if I can add some competition in this RFQ to get a better outcome.
That's great. Okay, so what are we seeing here? The Arkestro system has the ability to go through your purchase history, whether that purchase history is located from items that you've purchased through the Arkestro platform or things that you've run through your ERP system or P2P system. We go through that procurement history and we look at who has bought what and who has bought what where. We can look at things at the line item level, and we can look at the suppliers based on category, based on items, and we can then recommend those approved suppliers to the buyer. And not only can we recommend those suppliers, but we're recommending suppliers that might be from different business units that are approved within the organization. So no longer as a buyer do I have to remember, oh yeah, for these things, we buy them here. No longer as a buyer am I only buying from the suppliers that I know. I'm now getting a bunch of suppliers presented to me that I can choose from. And then my favorite thing is I don't have to know that institutional knowledge. I don't have to go talk to Steve and find out from Steve, hey, who do we buy these pipes from? The system is going to help present that to me and give me options to create competition. So this is great, Bob, but what if I want to add a supplier that isn't in the system? What do I do then?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that leads me to number 3 of the 5 features that we're going to talk about, and that is supplier invite by email. Because Arkestro doesn't require you to go to a tedious and long process to add suppliers and fully vet them just to include them in an event. Because at this point in time, you don't yet know if you're going to work with them or actually do business with them. So what we're going to do here is hit this enter email address button, and as long as I have the email address and the name for my supplier, let me just see if I can still type in a live demo. There we go. Then I can add them to this event and they can participate. There we go.
Excellent. So not only do we have supplier recommendations, right, but we have a way for you to easily add suppliers before they have to go through your corporate approval process. You add these suppliers quickly. They get the information they need in the RFX to allow them to go ahead and bid on the event. And then when they are in a position to win the event, then you can start the onboarding process within your organization. This allows you to quickly add suppliers to the event to get competition and get that event out the door in a timely manner. All right. So I think we're on number 4, if I'm counting correctly.
You are keeping track. Great.
All right.
Yeah, and 4 and 5 are really going to be the big ones. Like number 4 is going to be going to our suggested offer quotes. And so if I go back to these line items over here, let's look at the first one in here. So this is 2-inch pipe. It's made of carbon steel. You can see all the different attributes that we added to this event about it here. But one of the key things that you'll see here is this baseline price per unit. We put in $10 as that baseline price. And what I'm using here really is my last paid price in this example to give me an idea of what is competitive, or what was it at least in the past. And so Arkestro, in creating this suggested offer quote, is going to take a number of different variables into account to create that AI-generated quote. It's going to look at the suppliers I invited. Who are they? How have I done business with them before? And how many of them are there? It's going to look at any of these line items in the event, and it's going to look at the quantities that you see next to this column as well to see how much of those items am I purchasing. But also a key ingredient here is that baseline price per unit. And so as I'm looking at these baseline prices and I feel these are okay, I'm going to get ready to send out my event and get to the suppliers. And so let me, I don't have the hat that we had yesterday, but put my supplier hat on, log in as one of the suppliers, DCL, that we invited to this event, and then take a look at what they see. And so as I open up this event, you'll see the same line items that we saw before, right? This top one here is the 2-inch pipe that we were talking about. And first, I'm going to look at some of these line item questions that we mentioned copied over from the template. And so the buyer here is asking me as a supplier, what is my lead time? And for all the items in this event, it's about 6 weeks, well within their limits that they wanted to have this delivered in. Also, they're asking me about the inventory. Like, do I as a supplier have enough capacity to really meet the demand that this procurement organization needs me to have? As we then scroll a little further to the right, you start to see those prices that we talked about. And remember how for this first item on the procurement view, the baseline price was $10? If I look at this from the supplier view, John from DCL Resources, I actually see the $9.49. Right? So Arkestro's suggested offer made it that our anchoring happens at 51 cents, in this example, lower than my last paid price for the product. As the supplier, though, I don't think in this first round I can meet that suggested offer. And so instead, I'm going to choose to quote $10.50.
This gets to my favorite parts of the platform. This is what I always love talking to our customers about, because what we've done is we are gone out and we've given a suggested offer to the supplier. No longer are you waiting for the supplier to come in and tell you a high price. You are starting off those negotiations with that suggested offer that is a price that is relative to both you and the supplier. Why? Because it's based off your baseline. It's based off your historical price, typically your last price paid, or a price that a buyer, being knowledgeable about the item or the commodity, can go ahead and enter to create that suggested offer price. Now, here's the thing. I always get two questions from customers as we talk about the suggested offer. First that they say is, well, wait a minute, Greg, I don't want to, or I've never bought this item before. I haven't bought this item before. I don't have a historical baseline price on it. Or another good one, services. It's a service and it's kind of complex. It's kind of unusual. I don't have a good baseline price for it. What do I do? We have a feature called the intelligent counteroffer. And the intelligent counteroffer allows you to go out in round one with no suggested offer. It collects all the bid information from suppliers and it uses the lowest non-outlier bid from round one to create a baseline price and then create a suggested offer to the suppliers in round two. And that allows you to do all kinds of things when you don't have that information. Customers say, okay, good, I understand that. It works. We've seen great results with it. But then customers say, well, Greg, you know what? Our data, I don't like our data. I don't like our price. Why would I want to use a historical price that I have when I'm not even really confident in our price in the first place? And I said, that's okay, because here is where the fun starts. We use your historical price to get that suggested price, but then it goes out to the market and it goes out to this next feature.
Yeah, let's talk about number 5. So number 5 we call rank-based feedback. This is part of our game theoretic negotiation. And you'll see that number 4 and 5, like the suggested offer quote and the rank-based feedback, really work together as a 1-2 punch to help you work with your suppliers and mark any of your quotes to market. And so as I am still John Smith of DCL here, after the first round ends, I directly get feedback on all of the line items in my event. And so think about that from the perspective of what Catherine said on stage earlier, right? She started off saying, to sharpen pencils, there's a lot of data and analysis involved. And then taking that analysis, if you take even this small event with 20 or so line items, over 3 or 4 rounds with 4 suppliers, that's a lot of combinations every round to give feedback for each individual line item. And so what this helps me do as a supplier is I get to see for each individual line item, where do I rank and how did I do? You see that for a lot of these, I'm in the top 2. But for the item we were just talking about, the 2-inch pipe, I'm actually in 3rd place right now. That's a really important item to me, and I want to win this business. And so it really shows me directly what do I have to do in the next round to become competitive and to win this bid. And as you remember, this feedback of $2,000 or a little over $2,000 to become first and to really become competitive actually is going to make me lower my price to below the initial suggested price to make sure that we start to take that feedback and become competitive in this bid.
So this is my favorite part, right? I love this part, and I want to highlight something here. You notice that for the top one, Bob's in 3rd place, but for the other 2, Bob's in 2nd place. He's in the top 2. This is one of my favorite features of the product, right? Because it shows something incredibly interesting that we've done. If you were, let's say there were 5 suppliers. If there are 5 suppliers and you're in 5th, 4th, or 3rd, we tell you you're in 5th, 4th, or 3rd, and we give you an approximate number you need to improve your bid by in order to be more competitive. But if you're in 1st or 2nd, we don't tell you. what to improve your bid by. We don't tell you that you're in first or second. We tell you you're in the top 2. Why do we do that? Data. So if you go back in time and you look, we used to tell people, you're in first, you're in second. But if someone was told they were in first place, what happened? They didn't do anything. They didn't improve their bids. They thought, hey, I'm good, I'm great. But when you tell them they're in the top 2, all of a sudden, fear of missing out, that human game theory takes place. And they go, wait a minute, what do I need to do to sharpen their pencils? Because if they don't sharpen their pencils, someone from 5, 4, or 3 is going to surpass them. One of the most unique features about the product that makes a huge differentiation and allows the suppliers to win. And that's what we're looking for, is for our suppliers to win. So not only do you get the rank-based feedback to drive you to a market price, to get you to a price that is right for you right now in the right place, but it saves you tremendous time. I'll give you an example. We had a customer that ran an event, 17,000 line items. For those of you in procurement out there, imagine taking 17,000 line items and trying to give feedback on each line item. You couldn't do it, right? But a machine learning model, technology, applying technology, we could. And we gave that detail of information at the line level and the lot level. So suppliers could actually impact their decisions at the line level. And we saw that saved tremendous amount of time for not only the suppliers, but the buyers. And it creates momentum, right? It reduces the cycle time within a bidding event and allows buyers to get more events out there, therefore touching more spend. Now, let's take a moment to recap what we saw today. We've explored a methodology, the Live in 5 approach. It stands apart from what's out there in the industry. It stands apart from what's been done in the past. It is designed to bring fast time to value. And that is what our main goal is here with Arkestro. But that isn't the only thing.
No. On top of that, you heard that we have Live on 5 with the process and the methodology, but we also had these 5 key features that we talked about. So we had the AI ingestion together with the templates. We had supplier recommendations and supplier emails, invites by email to really quickly get started. And as we got into the event, you had that 1-2 punch of the suggested offer quote and the rank-based feedback.
When you think about what Catherine said about WR Grace, right? In that kickoff, $35 million of spend put through in that one day, 15 events, indirect, direct, logistics, services, all of that covered. That doesn't happen by accident. It is, first off, the work of hard work of a customer team. That Grace team worked very hard to make that happen. It's the use of the Arkestro Live in 5 methodology. It's the great technology platform that we've put behind it. And we were able to tell a great story with that. My team, the customer organization, we're excited to work with you to create your own Arkestro story, and we look forward to doing that with you in the near future. So with that, I'm going to say thank you, Bob. I'm going to say thank you to all our customers that are out there, and I look forward to seeing all of you in our breakout sessions today.
All right. Thank you, guys. That was a great job. Great job. Great job. Thank you, Bob.